So the time has finally come for me to replace this G4 Doorbell Pro with the new Doorbell Lite. This is the first new doorbell to launch in the new doorbell lineup. This is the Doorbell Lite. It houses one camera at the top with a push button as the doorbell itself. It's 5 megapixels, 2K, 1/2.7 inch sensor inside. And this model right here is powered via Ethernet. So you do need to have Ethernet cable run to your door. It is via PoE. Now, one big feature I am going to be missing replacing the Doorbell Lite with the G4 Doorbell Pro is the package cam, but that's going to be coming back in a future model. So the G6 entry and the G6 Pro entry have the package cams built into them. So when those finally get released, we'll take a look at those and get that one replaced with the Doorbell Lite. But for now, we're going to do this one. We'll have a quick look in terms of physical look, in terms of the comparison sizes, and then we'll get this swapped out. Well, one other feature to highlight on here is it does have two-way audio, so we're going to be testing that also as well. So we have the plate that we would get set up on the door, but we have a angled mount right here. As you can see, mine is placed in the corner, so I do have it set off in an angle. So we're going to get this also installed right up here. So for size comparison, you can see right here, the Doorbell Lite is a little bit smaller. In terms of the thickness, it is fairly similar in terms of that size. And in terms of the width, the Doorbell Lite is also ever so slightly slimmer. Yes, it is a little bit chunky in terms of the profile, so let's see how well it performs. So now we have our Ethernet cable run through, so that was a bit of a job, but it needed to be done as these are all PoE. And we have a back plate on here that we're about to install. So I have the angle. I don't feel the angle is as much as the old G4 Doorbell Pro, but we'll take a look at that a little bit shortly. So the screw holes are slightly different. You can line one up, but the second one just doesn't seem to line up. So we'll get the first one in. I place that one in using the same hole. And then with the second one, we can get that placed in. So that's the back plate installed on there, Ethernet cable in, and obviously there's a bit of slack there, so I can move that in and out as I see fit. And then we have the actual plate to mount. So we have two screws inside the pack, which is just like that. And then we can pop the Ethernet cable through. There are already two screws on there that you can mount this on. So just like this. So one screw is in at the top, and then we're going to place the other one in at the bottom, just there, just like so. And with the two screws placed in, we can just get them tightened up like so. There we go, that's placed in, that's not going anywhere, and we can place our doorbell on top. So the time has come for us to get this installed now, and we have the little rubber grommet which needs to go on top, so we can pop the Ethernet cable in like so. And then once the cable's in, you can pop the rubber grommet on top, feed the excess Ethernet cable back through. So one word to the wise before you actually get that final plate clipped on, pull the excess Ethernet cable through. Once it goes in, it does, depending on the angle and everything that you have set up, it does get a little bit more tough to pull it back through. So I'm just going to pop in the bottom plate again, and then we're going to push this back on. The final part of this, you get yourself a screwdriver inside the pack, and there's a little screw at the bottom. So what we can do with the little screw, we take out the screwdriver, we pop this on top, we push this in, and then we can just tighten this up down below. And then once that's screwed in, you can see that's now not going anywhere. And we can get this now adopted within UniFi Protect. So that's now connected, and we have the device which you can see popped up on the screen right here. We have the new Doorbell Lite. We can click add, and that will then get added. So we'll leave that off. We'll let it do a quick software update, and then we'll come back and have a look at some of the settings within. So this is what it looks like going up to the door. We can go up to it, we can see the doorbell, and then we press the button. You can see the light has come on underneath as well, because it is getting a bit darker here now. Now we have the device adopted into UniFi Protect. Let's see exactly what that looks like with some of the settings. And if we take a look down here, we can see the firmware version, when the last ring was, the uptime, the bitrate, etc., and the alarms that we've seen in the newer version of UniFi Protect. We have the recording settings, so everything's down here as you expect to be. Time, camera name, logo, bitrate, etc. And then if you want a custom retention recording. We have zones, so we can set up privacy zones and blackout zones if that's what we want, but I'm keeping them as they are for the time being, just for the testing. And then we have the camera name, the sensitivity, the HDR recording, some advanced settings, and some orientation if you want to horizontal flip it. We then have some doorbell settings in terms of the tone, the ring volume, the number of times it repeats, and the speaker volume as well. So first we're going to test the two-way audio between the two. So this is what it sounds like me talking from my phone to the device itself.
This is an audio test of the Protect app talking through to the Doorbell Lite.
This is what it sounds like of a quick playback clip of me talking to the doorbell itself. This is an audio test standing at the doorstep. This is an audio test about 2 meters away from the doorstep. This is an audio test about 5 meters away from the doorstep. Next, let's take a look at the image quality. So this is what it looks like in terms of the live view. So we have a nice 4:3 view, and then we have all the other settings that we come to expect. So go to timeline, find anything. We have the high quality, the mute, unmute, the talk, if that's what you want. We have a fit to window, if that's what you wish to do, and you can do that by doing that, and it zooms in ever so slightly. We have add to shortcut, and we have take snapshot and settings. If you want, just so for the clarity of people, you can actually see, we can zoom in a little bit further, and we can see the license plate right there. And if we zoom in a little bit more further, there we go, we can read that very clearly. That's sat there during the day and zoomed in at around 300%. Then we go to the playback. We have a quick video clip of me driving back in. So there we can see it's picking up the car. I do have all the detections enabled, as you can see here. And there's the car, me driving in, and it's picked it up. As I showed you in the previous clip, you can zoom in and read the license plates. And then we have a quick clip of me walking in from the back. So you can see me about 10 meters away approximately, walking into the driveway, and then it picks me up and recognizes me as a person. And you can see it picks up, this is probably sat around shoulder height, and you can see it picks up my full image from head to toe. Now let's move to the nighttime footage, which is probably more important for a lot of people, and let's take a look at what's happening there. Diving a little bit deeper into the nighttime image. So this is a static image of my front driveway at the moment. So we can see there's a car just as we highlight over it. Quite like that feature. When you do highlight over something, it pops up, shows me how long it's been idle, what the percentage type is. But interestingly, when we zoom in a little bit, you can see we can read that license plate quite clearly, which is good. It has the IR sensors on at the moment, so it's reading that quite nicely. So this is me now reversing back into my driveway. And if we pause it at just a moment just there, and we try another zoom in, you can see we can somewhat make out the license plate right there. And if we zoom in a little bit here, you can see we can make out the majority of the license plate right there, maybe a little bit fuzzy in the middle. That's where another light is. And if we zoom back out and we continue to play this, we come back in, you can see it picks up the color. And as I stop just there, we'll pause just there again, and we'll zoom in a little bit closer. And you can see again, relatively clear. You can make out the license plate right there. I'm focusing more on this at the moment because some people generally are interested in how well the license plate gets picked up with these devices. And then I've just disappeared into the back right over there, and you'll see me walking towards the driveway in just a moment. So there we go. You can see me appearing right there. You see an object. And this is with no lights on at the moment. This is just the IR sensors being used. And you can see there I am. And it picks me up quite clearly. I do like the head to toe. I think I mentioned it earlier. I do like the head to toe. You see a full 4:3 image of the user, of the person. And I'm just going to give you another example of what this looks like. Me walking up to my door with the lights on, with my lights that I have set up here. So you can see they activate right there, and you can see me. And then within a second or two, you can see this is going to change to color. So there we go. The IR sensors have turned off, and you can see again, that picks me up quite clearly. And I'm just going to pause that again right there. Again, just for the license plate detection. You can make out a few letters. I've gone back a bit too far, so you can't make out too much, but I think if that was a little bit more forward, you would be able to make that out. So that's pretty much it, what we're going to be covering in this video for the UniFi Doorbell Lite. But in the future, we may do some comparisons with some other models, so let me know if you want to see something specific down in the comments below. Just before we disappear, let's talk about the good. So we have an improved image quality, we have the full AI detections, we have two-way audio, we have the illuminating light down below, and the biggest bonus of all, this comes in at just $99. The one not so good that people may think about is the size of the unit. It's fairly similar to the G4 Doorbell Pro, maybe a little bit smaller in profile, but for me, I already had that G4 Doorbell Pro there, so to have something a little bit smaller is a bonus for me in that case. But for someone looking for something a little bit smaller, or a traditional size, or something a little bit more low profile, then this might not be the model for you at this point. The other thing I'll mention is I'm hoping will change in future models, and that is the Wi-Fi availability. Currently on the new doorbell lineups, there is only a PoE version, so hopefully in the future we are going to see some Wi-Fi models to go along with these recently announced models. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if there's something specific you want to see in a future video, again, let me know down below. For now, this is InsideWire, and I'll see you in the next one.